Elephants. How it started. Way back in 2012, I took a trip to South Africa, Kruger National Park, where a ranger came across a baby elephant. We stood there, we're in the car, the vehicle, nice and calm. He turned the vehicle off so we could just marvel at the baby elephant. There's a grandmother grazing as well, looking after the elephant. Well, the grandmother felt a little threatened. This footage is a little old, but what you can see is the grandmother gave us a little warning, stern warning. It's a gentle giant. It's my first experience with a wild elephant. I don't know what the driver was thinking because he was real slow on getting that car started. If the elephant wanted to do some damage would have been done. But gentle giant, just showing a little grace, telling us we were a little too close. So we backed on out of there and watched from afar. It must be said, I grew up watching nature documentaries on National Geographic. I grew up watching all these types of documentaries. So I love all types of things. Fast forward a year into the future. I'm now visiting Thailand. I want to go visit an elephant sanctuary. From the beginning, the vibes were off. You could tell the elephants were treated very poorly. They even allowed you to ride the elephants, which just seemed wrong. And as we were riding the elephants, the handler was beating the elephant. I said, whoa, stop. He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, do people come here and just see you beating the elephants and they just all cool? They just gonna get the pictures for the gram? Or whatever it was back then? I don't know. Pinterest? Look, we left. Then we did some research. Figured out, there are actually a difference between elephant sanctuaries. You have ethical and unethical. And the ethical ones, they rescue elephants from places like these. Now I've moved to Thailand. I've done my research, so now I want to actually visit some ethical elephant sanctuaries. We had a whole pandemic, so I really couldn't go visit any other places until some things opened up. But once it opened up, I found the Elephant Jungle Sanctuary in Pattaya. This was really cool. Because we were still in the pandemic, when I visited, I was basically visiting on my own. So it was just me and the elephants. First thing they do when you get there is to give you some education. It is built on ecotourism, so also they use the elephant dung. Yes, the elephant dung to make paper. Great way to use waste. Secondly, they have you prepare the food for the elephants. And once you start to feed the elephants, they basically have you build a relationship with the elephants. So there's a level of trust there. And you feed the elephants, develop a rapport, and if they choose to walk with you or do anything like that, you get to walk with them. I was able to walk with one elephant. Walking with the elephants was a top 5 experience for me. Because they're so large, you're literally at their mercy. They could literally harm you if they choose to, if they felt threatened. And I appreciate just how gentle the elephant was. So we walked to the watering hole, and the elephant stopped, started throwing mud on itself. They said, the elephant wants a mud bath. So I get down there, get in the mud, start rubbing the elephant with some mud as the elephant throws mud on, and hey, we're having a good time. Mud baths. Then we're able to go into a watering hole where they just want to bathe all the mud off and just kind of scrub them. And that was an interesting experience. It's a very, well, for me, because I was by myself, felt kind of personal. You could tell that a relationship was being built. So definitely a great experience. They had excellent food. Food was all amazing, and I would definitely recommend it. But part of me still felt like, should you be bathing the elephants? Should you be feeding them? So I wanted to find another place. A few more hours of research. I stumbled upon Love Phants Lodge, and I had some friends who actually happened to be driving down. It was about a 3-hour drive outside of Bangkok. I said, hey, why not? I'll drive myself. So we take the trip. About an hour and a half outside of Bangkok, I saw hundreds and hundreds of monkeys on the side of the road. So of course I did a U-turn and I stopped. First thing first, don't take any of your stuff out. Don't take your bags out because they will jack you. They will jack you for your stuff. So the only thing I did was take out my camera and my tripod. And I kept my distance and I just filmed them being monkeys. Took some photos. It was a pretty good experience. They were very playful with each other. There was not much traffic, vehicles, so they were pretty much undisturbed. The monkeys were awesome. They were climbing on power lines, walking on power lines, going up and down trees, chasing after each other. What a fantastic experience. What a great start to a trip. After spending about an hour, hour and a half there, I decided to continue on the road, go to the Love Phants Lodge. It's dark, it's very late because I stopped, and I can't really see how large it is. So, the Love Phants Lodge, it's amazing. The room is right here. Come to the balcony. There are elephants just chilling. I don't know if you can see them, but there are 2 elephants just chilling out right there. They come here from the watering hole. Check out the elephant just hanging out. Like, my room is literally right here. So I can just come and chill and hang out with elephants on the balcony. It's freaking awesome. And they just roam free. It's a huge property, but they like to come around here because the water is nice. The lodge is extremely cool. There are literally elephants just roaming around, and they can actually see inside your lodging area. So I'm looking at them same time they're looking at me. The next day, I saw just how large the property was. I was able to take a tour. They have a lot more animals than elephants. Yes, it's an elephant sanctuary, but they also rescue all types of animals from all over Thailand. It's crazy, the stories that I was told. They rescue chimpanzees from an apartment. You have owners that, like exotic animals, but when they can no longer take care of them, they just put them on the street. Then they get a call saying they have to go pick this animal up. Now, there are cases where they're able to rehabilitate the animals and release them into the wild. But a lot of times, they rehabilitate them and they have to live their life in an elephant sanctuary. One crazy story, when talking to the owner, Edwin, said they rescued a chimpanzee that was used for boxing matches. Boxing matches. It's insane the levels people go for money or for whatever to dominate animals. Crazy. One of the great things though, they had this pool. So you're literally swimming in the pool and you got elephants in the background, just grazing, doing elephant things. Extremely cool. What stood out to me is that all the animals were treated ethically. There was no riding of elephants or anything like that. There was even no bathing of elephants. It affected me so much that I decided to make a documentary on my experience. And if you want to support animals, support wildlife, support nature, conservation, ecotourism, go visit or make a donation. While I was there, Edwin mentioned there was an event that happened each night at sunset. Millions of bats fly out of this cave. Now, I sacrificed what was going to be a beautiful sunset to go to this cave. But I'm going to tell you what, Edwin was right. The experience was amazing. Amazing. I get to the cave. There's only like 3 or 4 people there. There's like a small platform. And the cave is really high up. It's not some cave you can just walk into. But as Edwin said, millions of bats are just pouring out of the cave. Pouring out. I was there for at least an hour. Pouring out of the cave. And it was so interesting to see them in sync. Just flowing one way or the other. They're all in sync with each other, flying. And truly an amazing experience. Now, I know what they were doing. At night, they're going to hunt, right? They're going to get bugs. They're going to eat and feed on whatever they feed at in evening time. So they're doing their part. And Edwin also gave me the opportunity to interview him.
I've heard a lot of stories, like there was an orangutan that was used for boxing here.
One on one, yeah.
And there was a chimpanzee, I think, or maybe it was a monkey that was found in a guest apartment, or a condo, living in Bangkok. How do you find these animals?
I think very often when we get to an animal in need of rescue, we see that the case actually has been going on for a long time with neighbors or family members knowing and not doing anything about it. And sometimes we get to cases where people actually find an animal in need of help and tell us about it, send an email or call us about it. We go in and we can actually take action very quickly. Some examples are absolutely mind-boggling. You don't understand how this could happen. I have rescued chimpanzees from people's homes. I mean, one chimpanzee, Canoe, is currently here at the center, lived in a cage of 1.5 meters, so that's about 6 feet, by 2.5 meters, which is about 10 feet. Lived in that cage, in that tiny cage, for 32 years in the middle of Bangkok. And you wonder why that long, why nobody did anything about it. I've known about him for 7 years. It's taken me 7 years to get him out of that cage. When he was in the cage for 25 years, I found him last year in his 32nd year in that cage. I was finally able to take him away from there, last minute really. We weren't even ready to take him, so we had to take him with cage and everything. He lived here for 6-7 weeks in that same cage until we could put him in a larger one. And he was shocked. He was so scared of all that space he suddenly had. He's now living on an island. We built him an island within about 7 months after he arrived here. And during COVID, it was very difficult to find the funding for it. But you see those kind of cases, people having gibbons in their backyard. And gibbons are extremely lovely when they're babies. They come from the wild. They really cling on to you. They really like to be petted. They make funny noises. And they're really popular as babies, as pets. But when they get bigger, they start singing and sing very loud. And very often the complaint doesn't come from the owner, but from the neighbor. The neighbor that says, my neighbor has a gibbon. It's illegal. They make too much noise. I can't sleep. And then we go in and we try to actually discuss the rescue, the takeover of the animal. In some cases, the owners actually are bitten by these animals, or family members of the owner are bitten by these animals and want to give them up. But the problem is, of course, when these animals have been living with these families for 5 years, 10 years, or even longer, they've lost all their natural instincts to go back to the wild. So we then have to deal with these animals, try to re-socialize, and at least let them live in a natural environment over here, because they can't go back to the wild.
I asked him a question about climate change, and he had an interesting answer.
What advice would you have for people that think that climate change is too large and that they can't play a role in having an impact on it?
I think when you talk about climate change and first of all, the denial of it, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You look at the news over the last few years, the things happening around the planet. You look at the deforestation. When you put 10 people into one tiny room, you can see the temperature going up. That's just small scale. When you take it larger scale, when we are on a planet where maybe 100 years ago we were with about 2.5 billion people, and we're now at close to 7 or maybe 8 billion, I'm not sure, I've lost count somehow. you can actually understand that with all these people, we produce so much more heat, we have so much more activity on this planet. It's not just the climate change, but it's also the loss of habitat, the fact that so many animal species are going extinct. There's no denial of that. It's happening. What can you do? Well, first of all, think twice before you spend anything. When you buy a product, how much plastic, the packaging, what kind of product is it? How intense is the production of this product? For example, when you drive your car and you're burning these fossil fuels, do I really have to go there? And if you have to go there, can you take other people with you so you can actually deduct the amount of cars using the roads? What kind of car are you driving? How is the engine? How big is it? All these little things. I'm sure that you might think on the whole scale of things, what I can do, what kind of difference it's going to make. But if everybody would think that way and try to do their best to save a little bit here and there, on the scale of things, it would be a massive difference. So I believe that we think of this as a serious problem.
I'm gonna give you a little advice if you're gonna go visit I Love Phants. 1, have a good time. You don't have to take the tour. You could just go and stay, eat food, watch the elephants. But I would highly encourage you to take the tour, to see the behind the scenes, see all the different types of animals they rescue. By doing that, you're also helping to fund and keep the place going. You can thank me later.